I just think for me, it's just being self-confident in what you do and believing that you supposed to you are at the table for a reason. I know back then, I know a few years ago, I sit in the meetings and I didn't feel too confident, and they knew, but that wasn't their fault. That was me. But until I knew, like, nah, you supposed to be here. It had nothing to do with the other people. It was something that I had to battle within myself. So I think sometimes we take a lot of things out of context and we start to talk about they. And when it's really on something, it's on you. It's what you need to, how you need to interpret and what you need to do for yourself. And, so now it's just the fact, any room I walk in, it's not an arrogance, but it's the fact that you know that you've put in the work for yourself. You're not proving anything to anybody. You know that you worked hard for it, you've earned it, and this is the seat at the table, and then you're representing.
But let me ask you a question real quick. How long you feel like it took you to get to that point? Because there's a lot of brothers that's going to be watching, that's going to be thinking, that's easier said than done, right? Because we got to that point, and I told how I got there, but how long do you think it took you to get to that point? And what was the turning point that made you start thinking, man, forget them, I'm here for a reason, and I'm going to do me?
I think with me, it was more so, it was an instance where I was in a setting, and I was intimidated for the people that I saw in the room. And, and I told myself, man, I questioned myself, I questioned my ability. And then as time went on, those people that I was once, thought they were more inferior than me, they started to come to me for advice.
Because they ain't know.
And they started to come to me for advice. And one thing that I noticed, it was in their lives, they never had to go through a lot of adversity. So when adversity struck, I've been going through adversity since I was 11, 12, 13 years old, coming from, the projects or whatever. So that's one thing I've always been good at, knowing how to overcome adversity. So when adversity hit them, sometimes when you come from a privileged setting, it's just, you panic like, whoa. So then they was wondering how I was so calm within the storm, and I'm like, this?
You don't but you don't really want to know the real story.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to know how you're going to be like, oh,
yeah. So I think with me, that's what it was. It was just more so like, life is just knowing how to deal with adversity, knowing how to believe in yourself and be confident in your ability. So I think once I saw that, I was like, this it? I can do this, And so that's how I live my life. It's just like everything that I've been through.
So let me say this, because under Jesse, you've worked with juveniles before, right? So how do you instill those type of traits and abilities and the way you think values into the youth who literally don't think they can do anything? They're not motivated to go to college. They're not motivated to do much of anything besides what they see in their community.
So I think the first thing is it's all about influence. A lot of these children are becoming what they see. So I think it's the influence around them with the community that they're in. The influence that's in the house. Because, even when I was growing up, college wasn't the culture of the hood. Being educated wasn't cool. So now these children, they need to see someone that they can actually identify with, because a lot of them, they see the, even with me when I was in, I would see the drug dealers, I would see the nice cars, so that's who I wanted to be, that's who I wanted to assimilate to, that culture, that lifestyle. So now I just think it's about, just having that confidence, one, then two, being able to see somebody that they can identify with. And, a lot of times, even if you don't see that person in your household, whoever listens, you need to be that person that can influence that child. Yeah. They may be in your classroom right now. Let them know that they can be something. They need to be able to see that in you. Right. Right now, I was doing my research. We have less than 3% of black male educators in the classroom right now. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I was, in my course one day, and the principal, he was saying he's seen a lot of his teachers are just trying to push the African American children in special ed, But luckily, luckily I was telling him but he's trying to create a system where the teachers can't just recommend it and it's just official. But that's what I'm saying. Right now, there's no checks and balances. So that's the thing.
They don't know their
Parents
rights.
don't know their rights.
But special education is largely 80%
minority.
Right.
Yeah. But if you look at this and you look in the system, so a lot of my, curriculum is in federal prisons and jails. And, even when I talk to a lot of the inmates, I sit with them, I play chess with them, it's just like they've never had a bond or any type of relationship with their child. And I'm like, your child could be sitting in the IEP meeting right now. They're pushing your child in special ed and you're not even at the table. Right. And so it's just like, what do you do? The mother, she trying to work 2-3 jobs.
Right.
She can't show up to the meeting.
Right. Don't even understand what the meeting is.
Don't even understand what an IEP is.
Right.
A 504. Like, what is this? What are those things?
And then you just take all that into account. If the parent, they don't comprehend what's actually being done to their children, no one is educating them on what's going on with their children. And then that just lead, right into the school to prison pipeline.
Right.
Yeah. I work with offenders as well, and so it's interesting to have that conversation about, their ideas of reality too. So you mentioned something earlier, they're talking about, really being in a space and having to figure it out, and your resiliency and having gone through all these things has helped you to navigate this environment. So that's the piece that a lot of the kids need to hold on to, is really, take the special skills that you have, and sometimes you don't know what they are until you know. Because we're told too before we get on internship, you got everything it takes. You got what it takes. We be like, no, I'm not sure.
I don't
no.
You'll be like, I don't. We ain't learning of it, but
Right.
no.
But
You
we
get
learned a
there.
lot.
You get out there and you do it, and
you
then
know
you
a lot
adjust,
more.
right? And so my mom used to tell me 2 things. She would say, "Be sure of what you're sure of," and then when you walk into a space, be there. Show up. So we come in and we stand up because we're going to stand out because we kings anyway. You know what I mean? And then we dressing better because, some of my colleagues don't know what an iron is. And, then we start talking.
Bang, bang.
Shots.
Bang, bang.
That's not a personal attack.
Loaded this way.
Right. Loaded this way. Right.
Free smoke.
Right. All the
Free smoke.
Free smoke.
So, we're always going to come into
Get
the room and be
draped.
different, but those skills that you got, I seen this, it was a meme on Instagram too. It's if you can sell drugs, you can
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah.
build a business.
I saw that.
And I was like, that's a great analogy for taking what we have, putting it and using it in a
energy.
positive and refocusing
Yeah.
in a positive aspect. Use those mentors that you got, because we may not have many, but the responsibility that we have is to be a light to those who are in the darkness, right? And with great power comes great responsibility. Our responsibility is to always to give back, whether we want to or not.
To whom much is given, much is required.
And I do think that from what we're discussing, the responsibility aspect is definitely something that's consistent, I think, from everybody and their experiences. But as far as connecting that to imposter syndrome, does that mean you have to be Superman? Not only do I have to be perfect, I have to know how to do everything.
Society will make you feel like you need to be. Your community will make you feel like you need to be, especially when they see you walk with your funny hat. Everybody's on your line. Everybody's asking you what to do and how to do it. Everybody want to pull you every different way. And that's added on to the burdens that you feel like you already carry for yourself in your village, right?
Facts.
So I think it does contribute in some ways to that, feeling like you got to save the world and you got to do everything that you can do to save everybody. And then that's the thing that I was talking about that leads to the burnout. And so there is this conversation that needs to be had about how do you do the work effectively and recognize that incremental change is better than no change.
And I think you touched on a great point earlier about something I talked to my advisor, Dr. Reed, about a lot. It's the help need help. We're trained to help people and to guide people through this mental health journey, but also we need help too. So go get you a therapist. Go talk to somebody. Make sure your mind is clear, because you don't want your own personal burdens to affect your practice, your work. Because that's doing harm to your clients and students. So if you've ever been in a situation, I want you guys to speak more about your personal experiences with this, because I think people get a lot more from your personal stories, because they respect the position that you're in now.
And when you say personal experiences in terms of
being in your profession, just school, having to carry that burden of being perfect or being Superman, knowing how to do everything and being viewed as someone that represents everybody who look like you.
Well, I think what it is for me is that every day I wake up Superman and I go into a world full of kryptonite. And so, ooh, that was deep.
Drop one of Clues bomb.
He felt himself. You can drop the mic. You can drop the mic.
And so
He trying to get sound bites. That's what that is. That's what he's trying to do.
everything that we encounter, the microaggressions, the uncertainty, just different things. Even in my own personal experience, I had one of my colleagues. She was like, "Oh, you're so articulate."
Microaggression.
And that microaggression right there.
You don't expect me to know how to talk?
It bugged me. You know what I mean? Like we all
Yep.
doctoral level individuals, and the fact that a comment like that would be made, it suggests something different, right? So it's like that'll take you down. So it's like, man, am I doing too much? I
can see that.
How am I presenting myself to the world? Like, do I need to give more or do I need to give less? And like these conversations begin to ruminate and it creates self-doubt.
Yep.
And so we have to go out and try to get back into the sun and get our strength back.
Yeah, well, for me, I'm kind of, I think I wake up, every morning, especially with having a wife and a daughter as well, with this, not necessarily a burden, but knowing that I have to get out here and represent for my family, for my wife, obviously I just said family, for, black men, for educated black men, for uneducated black men, for miseducated black men, the whole nine, because folks would look at one black person and judge the whole group, and generalize everything. So I recognize also that I have tattoos, from head to toe. So people already have this preconceived perception of who I am or what I might be about or what things I may have been involved in the past, which may very well have been true. But at the same time, you haven't even recognized that I'm here speaking at a conference, or I'm here, preaching a sermon, or I'm here, doing a podcast. It's clear that everyone has a story, but don't judge or generalize, something that you've seen one black person do to everyone. You know what I mean? So I think I wake up with that, wanting to embrace that, knowing I'm representing, because at the end of the day, I am representing us. I can't go out here and act a fool. Because what they're gonna say, look, see that black man, see the brother, see them black folks,
feeding the stereotype.
You know what I mean? Feeding the stereotype. So I think everyone has to have that onus on them. That's why I talk about, everybody has to use their platform. And think about the people who are following you, the people who you're leading. Because at the end of the day, it's Instagram followers, man. It's Facebook friends who are basically followers as well. And guess who they're following? They're following you, and that makes you a leader. So you're leading people in one way, in one direction or another. So I'm mindful of that.
And I think just as a whole, it was a great discussion. I really appreciate y'all just sharing y'all experiences. But some of the biggest takeaways, I think that we have a responsibility with our platform, but also our position. The spaces that we really go and let our voice be heard, we must always carry that responsibility, but also recognize when we need help. Recognize when we've had too much, and really go and seek help and just. Help needs help.
Yeah, you can't pour from an empty cup.
You cannot. So I thank you all for. You want to say something else?
No, I was just gonna say, when you spend, and I always believe in, you can't fill other people if you're empty. And I think with me, that's one thing that I learned. I was too busy trying to pour into other people, and I was empty.
Right.
And I think that's what you're talking about with the mental health. Yeah, the mental health piece. But I think a lot of times, when I know I go see a therapist when if need be, but I think for me, I never went because I was taught in the community that we don't go. If you go, you crazy.
Right.
But then when I actually started studying counseling psychology, when we was working on our masters, it was just like, oh, I'm just going to go talk about things to get my irrational, get my irrational thoughts out. But that's the thing. I understand that now, but I was conditioned, we don't go. If you do go, you crazy, or something wrong with you. So anybody that's listening, that's not the case. Just go, talk it out, sit back, I know my therapist, he used to give me apple juice. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I haven't drank apple juice since.
And I think
message.
too, we as the black community, we have to be the change agents to change the stigma surrounding mental health and just therapy in general, especially black men, because we internalize a lot and we don't talk. So it's good that we have this platform for us to talk and engage and just really work through some things and push people in that right direction to go and get some help. But I thank y'all for tuning in and listening.
Turning in. He ready to go turn up.
But this is Imposter Syndrome. Stay tuned for the next episode.
6 degrees.